Back again with a new episode, the Mod Month. Today, we're taking a look at some of the best mods released in February of 2021, as decided by our online poll. Now, normally we'd only be showcasing the top 3 mods released in February, but as it turns out, you lot were all rather indecisive, and our online poll ended up getting tied, both for first and second place, so we're actually showcasing 5 mods today instead. In any event, February was a pretty great month for the community, with 83 new mods getting released from Morrowind, and obviously a lot of those mods were pretty great mods, given just how many of them ended up getting tied in the popular voting. But anyway, as always, downlinks and timestamps are just down below. And real quick, as a reminder, we do have a Patreon with early access, behind-the-scenes content, with playtesting mods and the whole, process of selecting mods for showcases, and access to polls to decide what kind of content we showcase. If you'd like to check out those rewards and to support our efforts to showcase and highlight mods, check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/MorrowindModding. Whole advertising spiel just set aside though. Our mod of the month for February 2021 is actually 2 mods, the first of which is Bound Spells Reforged by Kurpulio. One of 2 mods to tie for first place. Bound Spells Reforged is a fantastic, spectacular, and utterly delightful visual overhaul of how bounding spells look in Morrowind. Now, when you conjure and bound a daedric weapon or piece of armor to yourself, you'll see an Oblivion summoning circle, appear beneath you, and swirling dark reddish and black hues to signify the daedric presence that you're, conjuring here. Each new bound piece of equipment has an iridescent glow, a dark aura or ethereal phasing, giving your character an otherworldly appearance when wielding summoned weapons and armor. This includes replaces for each bound weapon and armor, providing a fantastic level of detail and some just utterly amazing VFX effects, like, weapons glowing red when swung, or dripping with dark energy. It's pretty easy to see why this mod ended up garnering so many votes. It is easily one of the best spell effect overhaul mods released, for Morrowind to date, at least from a visual standpoint. The number of features here, the sheer amount of detail is utterly extraordinary and makes for a fantastic addition to anyone's game. If you'd like to see this mod in even more detail, the mod author has their own video showcase of this mod, which you can find just linked down below, or under the YouTube card to the side here. But anyway, I highly recommend checking this mod out. It is more than worthy to be our mod of the month for February 2021, and, it is just utterly fantastic. But, of course, that's not the only mod of the month, and our second mod of the month is Uncharted Artifacts by Xero Foxx. Technically, we have showcased this mod before, in the Mod of the Day series, but it's certainly worth going over twice, and basically, what this mod does is add a variety of new treasure maps to the shipwrecks of Morrowind, with 23 new maps added to the game, each hidden on a vanilla shipwreck, or one of the 4 new shipwrecks added by this mod. Some of these are just out in the open, while others will require a bit of searching to find, but each treasure map will have the name of a vanilla artifact on it, along with the location of where it can be found, just written in Daedric, including some excellent artwork of the artifact in question and the region around it. This is just a rather fantastically immersive way to direct the player to some of the artifacts in the vanilla game that otherwise don't have any quests or anything of that nature, directing you to them. Once you've got a treasure map in hand, You'll even see a little message box, pop up when you're getting close to the location of an artifact, making it easier to discover the correct location to delve through. This really adds a renewed sense of purpose to the shipwrecks in Vanilla Morrowind, which were otherwise just rather dull and boring little dungeons, hardly worth a visit. Now there's actually a good gameplay reason to seek these out, and this is just a really impressive mod that just improves the game, a bit here. Hence why it's also our mod of the month for February 2021. Moving on to our second pick for the mod of the month, we have Immersive Mournhold by RandomPal and various other authors. A rather massive town overhaul mod. This combines a lot of the pre-existing mods for Mournhold, like Mournhold Overhaul, Interiors of Mournhold, and a Royal Palace Revamped, making them work together, fixing bugs, and adding a lot of new content with new merchants in the Great Bazaar, and lots of resources from TR Data and OG Data to just make Mournhold, actually feel like a part of the mainland. That's the broad overview of what this mod does, but to break down what that actually means and what it actually looks like, we're going to have to get down into the nitty-gritty details, and that's one thing this mod does a lot of, detailing and cluttering Mournhold so that it feels like an actual city, and not just the dry, sterile husk of a glorified, gamified RPG setting, like it was in Vanilla Tribunal. I mean, Vanilla Mournhold had very little clutter. These streets were clean, with next to no details, no tables and chairs on the balconies and decks, no carts, few, if any, flowers in the gardens, and well, obviously, this changes all that so that there's actually quite a bit populating the streets and plazas of Mournhold, including a lot of resources from TR Data, like gazebos and some of the urns and pottery you've come to expect on the mainland. There's been quite the effort to decorate large chunks of Mournhold, with ivy dangling from streetlights and climbing up walls to flags and banners here and there, to remind you that this is, supposed to be the inner heart of the capital of Morrowind. Not only that, but this also implements a lot of the concepts of distant Mournhold, so you'll now be able to see the Temple of Almalexia, from the other districts of Mournhold, as well as particularly tall trees and the Royal Palace and all that. Oddly, this sort of detail was just missing in Vanilla Morrowind. It seems like Bethesda just really dropped the ball a lot with, the Tribunal expansion, but it has been nicely implemented here to give you a more immersive experience. That is, after all, the name of the mod. But anyway, this also includes some more detailed gardens for the Temple District, with the gardens actually appearing as gardens, instead of just a few trees slapped onto some grass here and there. There's now some actual flowers and other bits of plant life to give the Temple of Almalexia an absolutely beautiful look. And moving on to the Great Bazaar, you can see a lot more clutter, detailing, and some more of those, TR assets with urns, gazebos, cots, and everything else to make this market district feel a bit more alive, including, as I mentioned before, 2 new merchants selling a variety of wares. In addition to all this, there's also overhauls for the interiors of Mournhold, adding more NPCs to the tavern, as well as adding more miscellaneous clutter. This is a pretty large, beautiful, and certainly immersive overhaul for Mournhold, probably one of the largest mods released in February, So there can, be little doubt that, this deserves to be our second choice for the best mods of February 2021. Of course, we do actually have a tie for the second pick for the mod of the month, so our second pick is Cozy Seyda Neen by Mika. Another just utterly beautiful and breathtaking town overhaul from Mika. Cozy Seyda Neen ended up getting tied for second place for the best mods of February, and it's easy to see why. It's a positively scenic and, as the name implies, a cozy overhaul of Seyda Neen, adding lots of lovely little details to turn this at once somewhat barren backwater into a proper, lively fishing village to, welcome newcomers to Morrowind. Now, we have actually showcased this mod before, for the mod today, but it has received a few improvements, since the last time we looked at it. Namely, it's gotten a few optimization patches to improve performance. You still might get a bit of a dip in terms of FPS, but overall, the impact really isn't too bad here. And it is just such a remarkably marvelous overhaul to a Seyda Neen that it's arguably worth a very tiny drop in FPS just to, just to see Seyda Neen so wonderfully fully realized. And among the new details included with this renewed, vision of Seyda Neen is a lot of ivy and moss on the buildings, some really scenic marshmallow groves around the coast, new fishing piers with some truly excellent little cozy details, lots of potted flowers and atmospheric lighting, and just little bits of clutter around the shacks, including a lot of occupational clutter, since this is a fishing village, after all, so things like clams and fishing rods are to be expected here. There's even 3 new shacks, including 2 new NPC homes, and a potential player home that you could move into, though it is a bit on the tiny side of things, but still quite cozy. And all in all, this is just an utterly fantastic overhaul of Seyda Neen, and one well worth, adding to your game here. Finally, for our third and last pick for the mod of the month, we have Past Life Regressions by Gavrilo93. Now, this is really quite a unique mod. I don't think I've ever actually seen a mod attempt this concept before. But basically, Past Life Regressions makes it so that you'll receive visions of your past life as Nerevar, or as one of the 6 failed incarnates, when you visit certain locations around Morrowind. You may recall that Morrowind's main storyline basically revolves around how you're the Neverine, the Nerevar incarnate, and this takes a lot of the lore, surrounding the previous incarnations and the original Lord Nerevar, and it sprinkles those memories for you to unlock by going to certain places on your adventures, and these are basically just message boxes that pop up relating an aspect or event of one of your former lives. There's about 16 different visions that can be triggered by just visiting a certain location, and this is just a really rather neat lore-friendly mod that enhances the game a little bit here, and it kind of just immerses you in the game's main storyline. That all makes it our third and final pick for the mod of the month. But that's it for today. As always, down links are just down below, and real quick, I'd like to give a shout out to our patrons, including Area 5 / Stumblemeen, Quiwi, Cyprinius, Danae, Daliant, Yame Alcazar Castillanau, Langastir, Macbone, Melkor Dog, Knock Escape, Old Navy Twidget, Operator Jack, Heracuse, Hovio Holo, Rissalith, Soka Cat, Stiff Kitten, and Telvani with 1,000 nicknames, If you'd like to join them, check out our rewards, including early access, behind-the-scenes content, and access to polls to just decide what kind of content we showcase. Visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/morrowind. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay safe, stay healthy, happy modding, and I'll see you all next time.